You are listening to the Trifecta, where UFOs, paranormal, and cryptids collide. I am your host, Katie Paige, and this is the official podcast of Rocky Mountain Ranch Research. I hope everybody out there is having a good week so far and that you've had more wonder than worry. And happy Thanksgiving tomorrow to everybody out there. And if you're listening to this in the future, I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving, no matter when you're listening to this. So I have a great guest tonight, Kay Golden, and we were just talking for 5 minutes before the show. And I can tell you guys, we already have like so many wow moments and connections. I cannot wait. She's a local Coloradoan, so we're like neighbors, and already we have so much in common and so much to talk about. So I'm really looking forward to talking with Kay Golden and getting to know her and her experiences that she has had. If you have any questions for Kay as the show is going, please put them in all upper caps so we know that they're questions and we'll ask Kay. Also, the holidays coming up, please check out RockyMountainRanchResearch.org. We have a store there with some fun t-shirts and hats and swag, and it's a good way to support the show and what we do there, as well as our Rocky Mountain Ranch Patreon at RMRR. So without further ado, I want to introduce Kay Golden, bring her on the show. Kay, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, my pleasure, Katie. My pleasure.
Yeah, I was just saying, we're neighbors.
Yeah.
I know. And we were just chit-chatting a little bit here behind the scenes before we came on. And both of us were born in Illinois. And so I really just kind of want to kind of start, hi everybody, thanks for being here. I want to start like your earliest memory that you have and when you think some of these encounters started. So Kay Golden has written a couple books. Let me just kind of bring these up real quick so we can kind of introduce you that way. Into the Gray's Abyss is your first book, and then the second one here, volume 2, Into the Gray's Abyss. So you have had contact with ET. And, through all the years that I have talked with experiencers, I kind of have this mental checklist I go through, right? And just getting to know you the little bit I have, I'm just like, okay, check, 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 check. And there's all these commonalities that the experiencers have. And you certainly have that. And we were talking about, family members that might have experienced things, and we'll kind of get into that in your experiences in Missouri as well. But you and I both were born in Illinois, and there's something about the state of Illinois. I don't know what it is, but can you talk about what we were talking about before we came on in this plane crash and where you think all this began for you?
Sure. Well, this is my speculation where it began, because things started happening early on, like about 2 years old, seeing a creepy four-fingered hand, dark face, dark black almond-shaped eyes in the moonlight coming through my window of the room in the farmhouse we lived at in northern Illinois. And that was really scary. That was my first memory. But so when all this other stuff happened, the big Diamond Bar contact thing in Southern California in 2017, that was the day after Labor Day in September of 2017. Then we moved to Colorado, and contact is still happening, and the abductions are still happening. Oh my God. Then I start writing. I also talked to Linda Moulton Howe. I just didn't know who to turn to.
Right.
And I ended up calling my brothers. I have a big family, so I'm the last out of 9.
Wow.
And so they're all older than me, but only one of them was there on this plane when we went as a big. My mom and dad, my aunt and uncle, and my brother Stephen, and me on my mom's lap because I was just a baby, 6 months old or 7 months old, somewhere around there. So we took this trip to Branson, Missouri to go fishing and see the sights, I guess, for my aunt and uncle.
Branson's fun.
I got hauled around as a baby, obviously. And the only thing I remember from that trip is we saw a show in Branson and the stage caught fire. And for some reason, I actually remember that happening and remember being shuffled off in my mom's arms to the car, whatever car we were using at the time, back to the airport, and then flew off. According to my brother Stephen, we hit a really bad thunderstorm over Illinois, northern Illinois, on our way back. And he said that, because I asked him really point blank questions. What did you see? Did you see any lights other than lightning? Did you see a saucer? Anything. And he said that he did see orange flashes along with the lightning. It was a horrible thunderstorm. The sky was just wicked looking. And you know how it can get in the Midwest.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were losing fuel. My dad was flying the plane. He was losing fuel. He needed to ditch whatever he was going for a farmer's field. So while he was making that descent to come down, they hit something really hard. It bounced the plane and it cut the tail rudder almost all the way off. So we ended up crash landing in a field. And my brother, bless his heart, does not remember that far back anymore. I asked him point blank, did you have missing time? Did you get sick? Did you guys have any contact? I need to know these things.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't remember. And my mom and dad are passed, and my aunt and uncle, they're all passed. So there's nobody who can tell me anything. So that happened. And
you think from that moment on, from being pretty, I mean, you were an infant, 6, 7 months old, you have this traumatic, and even if you can't recall that trauma, that is a trauma. And there's something, you know, I've been looking into for quite a long time, and I really think it has something to do with some of these encounters and interactions with the spirit realm, whether it's paranormal or extraterrestrial in nature, that when we disassociate through trauma, through near-death experience, through meditation, that we connect into something else. Also, we were chit-chatting a little bit. Your dad has an interesting history. Can you talk a little bit about what your dad did? There may be a connection there as well, and we'll talk about that after you tell us what your dad did.
When I was little, my dad was an electrical engineer in Northern Illinois. I can't remember the company that he worked for, but he could have been the head of the company if he would have stayed. But my parents were bored of the green grass in Illinois and the relatives, I guess. So packed us up. They moved us to El Paso. My dad got a job with White Sands Missile Range as an electrical engineer for them. He was the head electrical engineer for that site.
Wow.
And I don't know exactly what he did. I remember him having a what do you call it, a badge? Like my husband has a badge because he works for aerospace. So he has a badge hanging around his neck, but I don't remember anything except a pen in his pocket and the badge, and it's saying, you know, basically White Sands on it, and it had his picture on it. That was the first time. I've moved all over the place. I swear to God, we'll have to have a serious talk and have some coffee sometime in Colorado here. So we ended up moving again and again and again, and he ended up getting called back to White Sands once again. And I think we were in Wisconsin when that happened. And he was only too happy to go back to the desert because he was getting tired of the snow again.
I can imagine, yeah.
So they called him back. They wanted him back. So we went back to White Sands. We lived in El Paso, Texas twice. This time my parents actually bought a house. And there were strange things happening even at that age. I had a dream, I think, as a kid.
Dream, right?
I know, because I've had recurring dreams later on in this life that, like, I showed you that red square and explained that to you. That's all in the book. But this dream was I was in the sky over El Paso, with what I thought were red, yellow, blue, and green balloons above me, and I was just flying. And when I'm flying over the mountains and over to New Mexico, I guess, and dropping down somewhere on this cement area, runway, or whatever, taxiway, and then all of a sudden it's a craft.
Wow.
Yeah. So well, you know, I always thought children always had these things happen to them and had invisible friends. And I don't know how many people have, but I've actually talked to some that have had things like this happen as kids, and talked to invisible friends. And I did. That's in my book too. And I had some strange occurrences with that too. Oh my God.
Yeah, I hear. I mean, again, you know, the little checklist. Hi, Wizardly. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. But no, I mean, there's so many things that like check all the boxes. So, you know, having connections to aerospace companies. Now your husband works for an aerospace company, your dad out there at White Sands. If I were, and I when I meet experiencers and contactees, I often ask that question, you know, is anybody in your family in the military? Do you have connections to aerospace companies and the like? Because if I were an extraterrestrial coming to kind of study humanity and humans and families and how, you know, we are socially, how we interact, I would want to look at aerospace companies and military families because that's where our weapons are being built, satellite, radar systems, things like that. So it makes complete sense to me. And the fact that you have a connection, did you say you lived in Wisconsin also?
Oh yeah, Illinois, Wisconsin, Texas, Florida, California,
Whoa,
Missouri,
girl.
Colorado. Yeah, all
And
over.
have you always been like on rural areas like farmlands? I know you live on some acreage now out in
Yeah,
Colorado
yeah.
and
We
have
have
animals.
a small ranch area here with my one horse. I lost my
Oh,
other
I'm
horse lately.
sorry. Kay lost her dear horse like last week, and I'm so sorry. That's got to be so hard. I
Yeah,
can't imagine. And
yeah.
that's another commonality you hear among abductees and contactees, oftentimes. And I don't know what this is all about. And Jason Gilmat on UAP Studies, we talk about this often. But a lot of very artistic people, musicians, very artsy smartsy people, and people who have a love for animals. So it's a certain type of maybe ETs are attracted to people like that that have kind of this giving, loving heart. Have you always had this love for animals since you were little?
Horses, absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
cats too.
Yeah.
But I got tired of litter boxes, so when we got here, we said no. We got brand new carpet. We're not we're
Oh,
not
the
doing
cats
the
can
cat
live
thing.
outside and catch the
Horses
mice.
only. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, there's something to that. I don't know what it is, but it's certainly something you hear time and time and time again. So let's kind of start at the beginning with let's get into, now that we know a little bit about you've lived everywhere and your father and the aerospace companies, let's talk about your first conscious abduction, when that happened, where that happened, and you sent some pictures here, and I'll kind of put these up as we talk through this here.
Okay. So this was the day after Labor Day, September 2017, in Southern California in Diamond Bar. We had just, or I had pretty much just moved there. My husband had to work for Northrop, so that's why we were out there. Like I said, we lived in Colorado for a long time, but every now and then, because of a job, he has to go move somewhere else, so I went with him. Anyway, so it was only like 2 weeks after we got there, and the movers had just put stuff away and everything. We went out for a nice celebration hamburger lunch. There's restaurants all over the place down there, so we're just trying this one out. And we had a nice conversation and everything that evening. It was a decent night, and I think he went to bed early because he had to go to work for the first day at Northrop, so he had to go to bed. So I stayed up and I stayed with the cats. We had three cats at the time, and it was about 11:30 at night when I finally made sure the cats were okay, had their water and all that, and shut everything off in the kitchen, the lights, locked the doors, and then went upstairs to go to bed. And I was going to go to bed in my office, or the guest bedroom, which was my office upstairs. And so I went to the master bedroom just to get my stuff and get ready to go into the room. And then for some reason, I just went ahead and laid down in the master bedroom next to my husband. He's snoring away, and I must have fallen asleep because I had this weird dream where I was walking through some misty woodlands, if you would, foresty area, and I saw some figures that looked cloaked, dark and cloaked, over by a black pot in the middle of the forest, boiling, steaming, steam coming from the top of this pot, and it's a big black kettle. And I'm curious, so I'm walking over there to see what it is they've got in the pot, and then all of a sudden, all of them, and there were three, I think, or four, they turn towards me and they start grabbing at me with these claws, or hands, claws, and there were no faces. It was totally bizarre. So I'm screaming in the dream and getting away from them. I don't want to be part of that pot. They were cooking
Right.
something and I didn't want to be in it. And then I woke
Right.
up, and then there's this blue light in the room, and it isn't a beam, at least not yet. It's just in the bedroom. It's everywhere, and I'm vibrating, or I'm feeling like there's a wave of vibration going through me, and I'm thinking earthquake. Oh my God, it's an earthquake, and that's why I'm seeing the light, and it's coming through the windows. And then I realize, getting on my left elbow, looking towards the window, that we had closed windows, wood shuttered windows, and heavy drapes on top of that. There was no light getting through. We were on the second floor. And we live in a cul-de-sac, so that didn't make sense. So I'm on my elbow and I'm kind of laying back and I'm looking over at the bedroom door and I'm looking at the bathroom area. And in some of the houses down there, they don't have doors on the bathroom area where the sinks are. It's just open. And they have these like Hollywood lights around the mirrors. It's a big mirror and it has those lights all around it. So because of that, we just had a curtain there. But anyway, no light was coming from there. No light was coming from anywhere in the room or outside of the room that I could see. It was just right there. And I'm vibrating. It's really starting to make my breathing struggle. I'm sort of like choking. And the light starts shrinking down. There's a ceiling fan above and it's on high. And I'm looking and I'm thinking logically going, why aren't there shadows on the floor? Why isn't the four-post bed showing shadows of the posts down on the floor in this light? It was very strange. It was very ethereal. And it starts getting smaller. The light starts condensing down to where it's just on the bed. And I'm still getting this vibration through me. And it's really, my heart's beating really fast. Like, what the is going on, you know? And it's still getting a little bit smaller. And I felt, when this happened, I used to sleep on my back. I used to sleep with my hands just on top of the sheet, flat on my back. And it's hot in Southern California. So that's pretty much, you know, that and the light comforter we had on top. And so I had laid back down and the light is still there. It's just smaller in the room. It's just on the bed. And then I feel something touching my foot, my left foot down at the end of the bed. And so I'm naturally going to look down at the end of the bed and I see about 3 or 4 inches of this bulbous looking whatever head. And our cats are downstairs on the couches. They don't come in the bedroom when we sleep. So I knew it wasn't a cat. But you could see these dark black eyes. They were kind of almost liquidy ink-like, kind of shiny down there. And like I said, I felt that touch on my foot. I saw that and I'm freaking out and my heart's racing, you know, a mile a minute. And it tries to grab my foot and it's pulling the comforter off. The light's getting smaller and smaller and smaller to where it's just getting on me. It ends up being a really thin beam going up and down the length of me while I'm on the bed. And at this point, I can't do much. I can turn my head, but I'm finding I can't kick at the thing that's trying to grab my foot. And then as I'm moving my head, I look to the right and there's another one right over here. And it's got a maybe 6 or 7 inch long metal thing in its hand with a little bulbous tip on it. And it's right at my pillow with one hand. And then the other hand has got this long metal thing in it and it's coming towards my right eye. And after that, I find myself and I'm just panicking. I'm going, oh my God, what is this? What is this? And I didn't know, but something in my head somewhere told me, oh my God, this is an alien abduction. I'm being abducted. I don't want to go. And I'm going, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. My heart's beating. I can't speak. I cannot speak. It's like my mouth is sewn shut. I'm screaming at my husband. Mentally, nothing's coming out of my mouth. Wake up, Charles. Wake up, wake up, wake up. You've got to see this. Oh my God, don't let them take me. And saying things like, oh God, you know, please don't let this happen. I don't want to die this way, that type of thing. And all of a sudden I'm being, the comforter's off and I'm up above the bed. And the ceiling fan is on high. Like I said, it's not that far up above the bed. And I'm being floated over towards the left. So I'm over my husband and we've got the 4-post bed and the post is right there. And I'm on my back still being floated over. And then somehow I think, okay, I'm going to turn over and I'm going to look and I'm going to see my body down there on the bed. And I'm going to know this is an out of body experience, right?
Yeah.
That made sense to me a little bit. And I didn't see me down there. There was no me down there on the bed at all. And so I'm passing through the post thinking, oh, God, they're going to whack my head on this post because I'm figuring I am still completely physical at this point. And they must have not made me physical. Something with that blue beam did something. So I go through the post and then there's one near my head and they're small. They're, 3.5 feet, 4-fingered little blue. Well, they're gray with a little bluish tint to them on the skin tone, but they're wearing the dark suits up to their necks. So you don't see much but the face and the eyes and I'm going towards that window So there's one here and there's one here by my shoulder, and it's just like I pass right through the dang thing. I feel like a little electric shock maybe in the vibration. Oh, and the vibration continued until that blue light was gone and I was up above the bed. So once that was gone and then the vibration stopped and I'm just being floated, and we go past through that window and then we're in a beam and we're going up. I'm with these two Zeta Grays. That's the name that popped into my head was these are the Zeta Grays. These are the half biological or part biological things because they have jerky movements. They're not
These
fully.
guys here, right here, Kay?
Yeah, so this is a tall gray. This one's different. Still 4 fingers, much taller. He has longer legs, way long arms, a big head. He has a little less. That's an okay illustration, but and the eyes are pretty much creepy and right on, but they're mirrory black. And then he has got some sort of sash or belt with some hieroglyphs or a cuneiform like writing, whatever it is that go. I don't know what it is. It just goes down, and then he's got that belt, and then there's
like a tool in there,
and then 3 little dots are in the belt, and then he's got the little device in the pocket or in his belt. But that's the tall gray.
What do you think that device was used for? Do you think it had something to do with you being able to kind of go through, or was it?
That's my guess. The blue. I think the whole blue light thing scans you, maybe sanitizes you, so that you're able to be taken and you're able to go up and you don't contaminate anybody with your human germs, so to speak. That little device that he put towards my right eye. That might have been what paralyzed me, possibly. I'm not certain. I just know that it did that.
Yeah. So these guys are taller, but your first encounter were with how many were in your bedroom? 2 or 3? Two. And they were shorter, a little bit shorter than
smaller, more pointed chins. The tall gray is grayer. I'll say that. He's got just a little bit of a blue tone to his skin. He is much paler, ashy gray. And then
are they both from like the Zeta Reticuli? Are they working together, or is one more like AI mechanical than the other?
Yeah. So that's what I've come to believe, is that the small Zeta Grays that come take you are the ones that are the part biological beings. They're not the live ones. There are live ones on the mothercraft, and lots of them. But the tall gray is different. He is the doctor, the leader, the scientist, he's the only one that communicates. And it's not telepathy, it's thought transference. So it's more like pushing thoughts into my head and me being able to push back. But it isn't a lot. It is more like directions, like K, lay down, K, calm. If it's a real stressful situation, like I'm being locked down to the table and they're taking blood, doing their procedures, stabbing me in the back, and then I black out and go down a hole, black hole, whatever.
So Kurt here is asking, did the device have any sort of light on it, the one towards your eye? Yellowish, what I've heard before, but just curious.
There's some little bulbous end on it, and yes, it does glow a little bit, and I was so freaking frightened, and my head was just, I couldn't believe it. My heart was pounding like crazy. It was like, I just was so scared out of my wits, that this was even happening. And I don't know what it did. I would really like to know what that device did, but the tall gray uses that rod to threaten me many times. Many times. It is a hurtful little device. It's not a friendly device. It is a hurtful device. Now,
that's an interesting question, Kay, because I mean, I could feel the fear. And I mean, I'm so glad that you were finally able to find the right people to talk to about this experience, because I can feel your emotion and the fear still in you. And you've written about it, you're talking about it, and I'm sure it's helping a little bit, but it's still raw and on the surface. And I'm sure it'll take, probably a lifetime to process what the heck's going on. So many unanswered questions. But so, you know, if it was a hurtful device and you felt this fear, this obviously, then do you think their motives are negative in nature? Because we hear a lot about, this argument back and forth between experiencers, is this ultimately a positive thing? Are they here for our good? What are your thoughts on that? Like,
No, they're not. No, whatever this, there are different species of grays. That I am sure of now. I would say at least four. So you've got the tall grays that are from, I believe, out behind the Orion system somewhere. And they are the ones that are working with the mantid being behind the scenes on the mothercrafts, creating the hybridization program, have created the hybridization program, has probably been going on for a very long time.
okay.
So they keep taking humans, you get put in a room, you get strapped to a table, they take your blood, they take your ova, they take your semen. And in my case, they did strange things and they put me through tests and put me through experiments. I kid you not. This is all for their purpose. This has, from what I can tell, this has no good ending for humanity. And I'm not trying to scare the audience or anything. I'm just telling you what I feel, what I've experienced. And this hasn't stopped. I am still going through this. I don't know. I can go out on my property at night and I can get photos and I can get videos, and it's on, usually I put it on Facebook. I have strange pictures on my wall. There is just something weird going on. And I know lots of people are seeing UFOs, lots of people are seeing orbs. I think it all has something to do with this big 3-eye atlas coming towards us. I really do.
It's really interesting, Kay, because you live, we're practically neighbors, so you're not too far from the Rocky Mountain Ranch of my childhood in the Black Forest, and
Black Forest,
similar,
yeah,
all that. So there's a lot of strange things going on. How many acres do you sit on right now?
it's just under 5.
Under
It's just
5 acres still, but you're out there, out in that high strangeness area. And I've seen, so you can check
exactly.
out Kay Golden on Facebook, and I've seen some of the orb videos that you've taken over your horse barn and things like that, and they're really compelling. And I've seen, through being state director for Colorado MUFON and stuff, I've seen my share of good, UFO footage and lights in the sky and things like that. But what you've captured are really compelling. So this is an ongoing experience. How often, Kay, do you think you're being taken? How many times have you been taken?
Well, it was just a couple of weeks ago, and I'd actually posted something on Facebook. I was so shocked again. It's always shocking when it happens. And then so I'm sitting on my chair taking a video. I'm not dressed very well. I don't have my makeup on or anything. And I'm going, okay, this is what happened. This is how I ended up. This is what happened. This is what occurred. And I'll get back to you guys when my face is put together again. And I think I finally did do that. I don't remember if I actually posted it though, but I do have the video. So it was basically, it was just being taken back to his saucer craft again in the same little wedge-shaped room.
Is it
And
this saucer right here?
yes,
Okay.
that would be the one. And I believe that's the one that I saw over our rental house in Brighton, Colorado in 2000 and when was the blizzard? February 2015, when the big blizzard hit through there in Thornton and all that.
That's a good question. Once ET makes contact with an individual, do they kind of know where you're at? It's like you're kind of like tagged. I mean, I hate to put it that way, but we tag our animals, we tag our cattle. Is it kind of like that?
Yeah, no. So
Kinda
they've
know
had,
where Kay Golden is.
people talk about implants. Some
Yeah.
people have said you might have 2 implants. I don't know for certain. I'm pretty sure there's one because they've been able to get me from Diamond Bar to Colorado to our house in Castle Rock, where I took more videos and stuff, stuff of being investigated. And then I have what's happened here. So I am being tracked. I am being followed. I've had helicopters a helicopter scare the out of me at the boarding ranch where my 2 horses were in 2020 during the summer. And here's the creepy part, right? Kamikaze pilot all the way, flying so low, almost touched the barn roof. And that barn roof was 20 feet off the ground, maybe 23, and scared the heck out of me and my horses. It just kept flying low, and it came out of nowhere. I mean, you talk about high strangeness. I didn't hear a helicopter sound. All of a sudden, I'm seeing it out of my peripheral vision, my right eye, combing my horse's tail, looking this way, and we just have a little hill, and then you have the highway 86 in Castle Rock, right? And it's just right there, and it's flying so low. It wasn't more than 30 feet off the dang ground. Comes over towards this way, towards the barn. It's like perched on the top. If it would have hit the barn, that barn would have collapsed. That's how old that barn was. And it came over right in front of the little field area in front of the gravel road where me and my horses are right behind the gravel road. That wasn't very far away at all. And then it tipped, and I'm looking for markings on this thing, anything I could find. It was a dark helicopter, no markings whatsoever on either side of the tail. Talk about bizarre. And then it came at us. And so you figure helicopter, right? You're going to feel some wind. You're going to feel rocks, gravel, dirt being sprayed at you from less than 20 feet away, right?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I'm going to I'm going to send you this report, Kay. It's a pretty easy read. And for you listeners out there, if you go to katiepage.com.net, Rocky Mountain Ranch, I'll send it to you guys too. It's just a PDF. It's called The Choppers and the Choppers. And what you're describing, these low helicopters right over the barn, out where you're living right now, this was reported in the 70s, the late 70s, the 80s, when Linda Howe was out there. I'm sure you've talked to Linda about it.
Yep.
So this is, I mean, I don't know what's with these choppers and why they intimidate and chase people. There's newspaper articles about them chasing young kids out there in like Rama, which is really close to where you are now.
I know where Rama is. Yeah.
It's pretty close to where you are. I will send these to you so you can read them. You are not alone in this. And some of those reports of the pilots of these helicopters, where my mind automatically went to, well, it has to be military, right? But no, some of these pilots of these choppers are otherworldly, which is really fascinating. Yeah. So I don't know what that's about. But
nobody was around. There were no bicyclists going down the road that normally go down the road in the summer to have a good time and go out towards Cherry Creek, right?
Right.
And nobody was at the ranch riding their horse. No vehicles at the house where the guys lived to take care of both ranches. And when we went to Christmas party, I went to the Christmas party that year at my friend's house, and our neighbors from these ranches came to the party, and I asked them, my God, did you see anything that day? I need to know if anybody saw what I saw. Nobody saw what I saw. I called Buckley. I called to Fort Carson. I called the news. I got nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. The Air Force said if it was one of ours, it would be marked, ma'am.
Yeah. No, just recently, Tony and I went out to Elbert County. It's been 2 months ago now, to go do a drone mission. And there's a ranch out there that has some crazy, matter of fact, there was a firefighter who's an elk hunter who had a very, very clear sighting of a craft that was emitting an orange glow. It was spinning counterclockwise on the bottom, clockwise on the top. It scared the bejesus out of them, basically. But we went back to that particular ranch, which is in Elbert County, and a chopper flew off there too when we were approaching. So there's something with these choppers, and it's still active. I mean, this has been going on now for, 50 years.
At least.
That's something out there. I don't know what it is in these certain areas, but it is active. It's been active for decades. So you have been, having numerous abductions over and over. I want you to talk about the praying mantis here and how they come in and how they're connected. And when did you first see this?
Oh God. So the first time on the Craft and Diamond Bar, that abduction, I was put in one room, and the tall gray was staring right down at me, doing whatever he had to do to me, and I blacked out, went down a spiral. And then I'm accompanied by this small, again, half robotic looking Zeta Gray, because they don't have fluid motion. That's how you know they're the part biological, and they're smaller. than the actual zeta grays that are on the mothercraft. And yes, there are mothercrafts. So it takes me by my elbow. It barely touches the elbow, and it's a cold touch. These things are cold. The crafts are cold.
Oh, that's
And it
interesting.
walked me through the corridor and took me to another room, and I got put on another table. And I think in this room is where I'm laying there, and I don't think I'm totally secured to the table in this one. But all of a sudden, this blur, a dark green, shoots in the room. I get popped in the back by something, and then it shoots out again. And that's what that was. And then I didn't actually meet that until realize what it was until a little bit later on during the whole hybridization testing part thing.
So, Kate, you mentioned the hybrid. Do you believe that we have hybrids among us already?
Oh, God,
And
yes.
how long has this been going on? And do you think you may be the mother to some hybrid children that are out there?
Oh, I hate thinking about it. I really do. But yes, I talked to Linda about this at length. Linda Moulton Howe. Sorry for everybody who may not know who I'm talking about. Linda Moulton Howe. She was the first person I went to because when something like this happens to you and you don't have family that you know is going to support you 100%, you got to talk to somebody.
It's important. And for those listeners out there, find somebody to talk to. It's so important.
Absolutely, because you will just go, oh my God, I'm going mad. This can't be happening, because it is ontologically shocking. It shakes your whole worldview from something you knew to be like this perfect rose of your life. Maybe not perfect in all ways, but you had your religion, you had your school, you had this, you had that. Everything was neat in a row in your basket, and then everything just gets blown apart.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, you got to have somebody to talk to. But the
hybrids.
The hybrids. So yes, they're walking among us. They could be your neighbor. They could be your teacher, your kid's teacher. I think there are a lot of them. I think that's why our world is so divisive.
Yeah.
That's my belief. There's a lot of manipulation going on. And I think it is the otherworldly that are doing the manipulating.
What is the end game when it comes to the hybrids? I mean, is there end game to ultimately have the hybrids take over altogether? Or what do you
That's my guess. And the reason I'm guessing that is because yes, we know that they walk among us. Yes, I know I've been part of that program. And when I went was taken into the nursery part of the mothercraft, and this may only be one nursery out of a bunch of them on this ship, there were at least 200 of these large test tubes or vats or containers, 3.5 feet tall and about 1.5 feet wide, that had these hybrid babies. And that's the one where I had the tall gray female come to me, and it's in the book, and bring me this tiny bundle in this light green drape, and it was all tiny and tiny and had a human looking face, and then the big blue eyes opened and looked at me, really deep sapphire blue eyes popped open, bigger eyes than what a human would have, but not like the big gray eyes, and had little tiny, it was wrapped so tightly, it had little tiny fists, and I didn't want to hold it. I felt completely, I did not want to be in that room. I did not want to hold this child. I refused to believe that it could possibly be mine. I refused it at that time, but I did touch the cheek, and it was cold and slimy and or kind of repulsive, and I didn't want anything to do with it. But then I was told in my head by the tall gray female and the tall gray that is my overseer, if you would, I had to hold it.
Okay.
So I look back on the experience as, okay, they needed a human to hold it, to nurture it just for a little while. And that's how I look at it. And when other people have asked me on Facebook, well, do you think that was yours? And I said, there are certainly circumstances in my life where absolutely it could have been.
Yeah.
And,
Walter's asking, how many hybrids do you believe are holding high office in our government? That's a great question, Walter.
That's a really great question.
Really good question.
I don't know, but I will tell you Walter, right? I will tell you one thing, and that is that, in one experience where I was, Linda and I had been talking this morning, not this morning, but the morning that Putin was invading Ukraine, right? And we were freaking out. We were actually crying together over the phone. And she asked me, Kay, can you try to project out to Rex and see if you can get him to say, hey, well, we're going to help you guys, because we were both afraid of
Rex right here? This is Rex.
Right. Yeah, Rex. His name is longer than that, but it's completely unspellable and unpronounceable, so I just shortened it to Rex.
I like it.
Anyway, so I ended up doing, what do you call it? Just self-hypnosis, if you would, or meditation. And I tried 3 times that day to project out and see if I could make some kind of connection with Rex the Tall Gray. And I felt like I failed completely by dinner time. And then that night, of course, I was taken, and he was to his ship, and he was very put off by me being there. And it was a very short conversation, like, why are you bothering me type of thing, like you would get from a human, but from Tall Gray. I'm busy. I'm important. Why are you bothering me? And then I blatantly said, look, we don't want a nuclear war. We want to know if your species is going to help stop this. Do you know of this crazy guy named Putin? And he said, they are aware. They are aware.
Okay.
They're watching and they're aware. And he also told me to watch this one person in government, and for the life of me, and I said this on Linda's show just a week ago, I can't remember the man's name, but he was a guy who flew out a lot to the other countries and did some kind of negotiation, like, I won't say Secretary of Defense, but somewhere in there. And it was a couple of years ago. He was tall, he had dark hair. I can't remember his name, but he was the one I was told to watch.
That's interesting.
I know, and I wish I could remember, but I didn't put it in the book because I couldn't remember the name. It was like, I can't remember the name. But it wasn't a president, it wasn't a prime minister, it was just some person in government who did hold a high office and did go flying out to these countries and did some sort of negotiating.
That would make sense to me. It's somebody like that's behind the scenes that might be pulling the strings. So that's really interesting. Now, with these praying mantis types, what is their role, and are they on the same ship as Rex, or is it something different?
Only on the mothercraft.
Okay, because let's talk about this one. Is this connected to the praying mantis? Or no, not that one, this one.
No, this is different. Boy, I have to backtrack a little bit. This is a craft that came from my recurring dreams, and that started in February of 2018 while we were still in Southern California in Diamond Bar. And I don't know where it came from. I swear to God, this dream came out of nowhere, other than having contact with, the Tall Gray. And I think once you have contact like this and you start having recurring dreams, you need to pay attention to them.
Yeah.
So anyway, this big red square craft is in the dream. The saucer's over here, and I know I'm supposed to be looking this way. I'm in a misty area. There's a doe and her fawn. It's like an open space. It's kind of foggy or misty. And then I see this huge craft, red square, probably only about 20, maybe 20 feet high in height, but huge, 100 foot square all the way around, with lights all the way around it, and these strange points going down to the ground. It's going right over, I'm assuming, this open space, only because it looks like where we lived up in Castle Rock, right behind our house. Oddly enough, the craft was flying over towards Denver. It could have been flying anywhere, but that's just what the dream kind of melded that way. But it was this great big red, and you could see the shimmer, the red underneath in that fog. It was really scary. And because the saucer was there and the Tall Gray was there, and I didn't know whether I was supposed to get out, go run into the saucer and save myself or not. But the dream ended. But I mean, it just floated.
How long ago was this? Because I'm sure Tony will probably remember. Red. It's the same shade of red too. Do you lucid dream as well? You interact with the dreams, lucid, yeah.
The recurring dreams seem to have stopped last year. So there's been about 7 of them, I think, now total. And I don't know about the lucid dreaming part. I know there's other things that are happening early in the morning, and I'm flying and going and seeing
These,
triangles off a Navy ship
yeah,
on the
these
Atlantic Ocean.
these squares and boxes, I mean, we have people in Congress now talking about them and reporting them. They've been
Right.
reported again
Right.
for decades. We had the
Yeah.
boxes. So that is really interesting to me. And the fact that it's that red kind of freaks me out because
Well, the
I
red square,
recently had a
right?
dream about a red craft myself.
Yeah, the red square, and Linda and I have talked about this one too.
Wow.
I get the impression this is the bad ship. This is the one that they saw over Vandenberg in 2003 October. We were stationed at Vandenberg in 2003 October. My husband was
Really?
military Air Force for 20 years. Us and our kids were there for 8 years. We didn't leave until April 2004.
I wonder
When
if
that
it's all
happened, you would think some civilian that was at the base at the same time we were would pop up and say, we saw that, or we saw the UFOs the next night and the next night and the next night. But nobody's coming forward except the one security policeman, Jeff. Oh, what's your last name? I can't think of your last name. He's on the congressional hearing. He talks about the Vandenberg Red Square in depth, in
similar
detail.
to that. It's very similar to that. And it was,
That was later. I'm having a recurring dream in 2018,
That's
never
wild.
knowing about this, never seeing it myself on the base that I know of, that I am aware of.
Yeah,
And that's scary.
wild.
And then he comes up and says, this thing exists. This is what the Boeing contractors saw. And Linda knows about it because it has been seen before.
Yeah, that's wild. It's been reported for a long time.
Yeah.
Wizardly, it's just not talked enough. And people don't talk about these cubes and boxes and things often. But Wizardly wants to know, Kay, have you ever tried frequency resonance?
Be descriptive about that, because you're talking about doing a bowl and going like that.
Yeah, is that like Wizardly? Are you kind of talking about like as far as communicating, or I'm not sure, but I know like just the binaural beats, or if you put on headphones or that, or maybe I mean I could feel the fear still in you. Maybe you don't want any contact. I mean, if you could have it stop, would you get it to stop? Or
I'm
do you
tired of
like
it.
the communication? And what other things have you learned that might be helpful for all of us? Their motives, anything that you've learned through your abductions?
Okay. So the last 3 times since before we moved to the ranch and we were still in the other house, Halloween, December, after Halloween, so December of last year, taken, told through the thought transference, while I'm asking with my mouth open and drooling on his craft, what's going on with the drones on our eastern seaboard? What can you tell me anything about? That's what I was asking. That's what I was concerned about. And it's really hard to say anything when your mouth is open and you're drooling, even if you can't speak and you're trying to say it telepathic or thought transference, it comes out really garbled. But anyway, all I got was more and bigger ships are coming.
Oh.
And he was doing something on a clear screen above me. I think I put that in the book. I may have saved it for the next book, but he had a clear screen. It just came out of nowhere. He's tapping with the 4 fingers. This one's longest, so he's tapping with that one. And I'm feeling horrible in my head while I'm drooling, and I get this big flash in my head and then a spider web pattern, which is really bizarre. I don't know if anybody's seen that before, or if anybody's out there sees this. But it was painful, and that's what I got. And then I got more and bigger ships are coming. So he was doing I think he was doing something to the implant. I think because I remember too much, possibly, and he may not like the fact that I'm remembering what's happening.
Right. I was going to ask you that.
Remember.
Yeah, because most abductees have a hard time remembering. And maybe this is part of the plan that more and more people are starting to remember more lucidly, to bring this forward as things kind of unfold. And I really like the fact that you say thought transference instead of
that's what it is. Because telepathy is reading somebody's mind, and he doesn't read my mind, and I'm not able to read his. It's just simply, it's like feeling a bullet in your head sometimes when he is emotional. He does have emotion. He is sarcastic. He's a son of a. I swear to God, And now the small zeta gray robotic things, they don't have emotion. They don't talk to you. They don't do anything with your head. They're just there to do a job. Take you here, take you there, take you to this room, take you to that room, put a blanket or a little sheet on you to cover you, or, something like that. Clean up after you. But this tall gray has emotions, as I've said before on many podcasts now, in that he is sarcastic. He is very standoffish. He's very regal when he gathers himself up, and he's threatening with that device, because I didn't want to cooperate during one experiment. And he went like this with the thing to me and like threatened me. And I'm like, okay, I'll cooperate. And everybody asked, this is a good experience. No, it's not. Not a good experience at all. This was not positive. This is very negative. This is not good for humanity at all. And hybridization is also not good for humanity at all, because why would they need to do it? They only need to do it to take over. That's what that's about. And
unless they take the hybrids back to your own planet and leave us alone. But it doesn't sound like that's what's happening. I can't believe that we're already 50 minutes in and I have so many questions. So I'm going to have you back.
No problem.
I have some questions. Like, sure. You had mentioned, we haven't even gotten into the hitchhiker phenomenon. You've mentioned seeing shadow beings in your room since you were little. I've experienced that as well. I've experienced a blue light in my room. So some commonalities here going on, and I very rarely talk about it. But do you think the shadow figures that you've seen in your life are connected to your abduction experience and Rex?
I'm not going to say a shadow figure. I'm going to shock your audience here. As I told you before we got in here and got live, it was an invisible friend when I was little. I used to play at a little lighthouse in our farm in northern Illinois. It was a little lighthouse that my grandfather made, and I think my mother's great-grandfather made for her 30th birthday. Like I said, I'm the youngest out of 9, so everybody's older than me. And it was a really pretty little lighthouse. My mom had tulips around it. So I had a little plastic yellow tea set with little like white and blue flowers on it. And I would take it out there and sit and play with my tea set there. And I would offer whatever was in the lighthouse a drink.
Okay.
And there was, I don't know why or how it started, but my eldest sister even remembers me doing that. And she said, and I put that in the book. It's going into a screenplay, but the whole thing was, why did you do that? And I said, there was something there that I felt I was playing with that was actually communicating with me, and I was having tea with it. That's the best way.
You think it was a ghost or an extraterrestrial or a spirit being, or you?
I don't know, but this got worse. So I remember I said Wisconsin, right? I've lived in all these different places. El Paso, Wisconsin. How likely is it for a little girl to meet another little girl who has a father who's also an electrical engineer at the very place your father is an electrical engineer, White Sands Missile Range in 1973, with her going to the same school you go to, but not seeing her in your class, not seeing her with books, only seeing her like outside the school premises or maybe by the wall or in the girls' bathroom, won't talk to your friends, won't meet your friends, and then tells you you're the only one who can see her. And this person shows up again at another school in Wisconsin. Same scenario. And she wants you to go into the woods and meet her friends after school. Oh my God, I kid you not. That's where my sister just went, oh my God.
Yeah, no,
and she teaches psychology, or she did in college. She was a professor. And she's like, so when I tell people about that, most people go like this.
Well, when we go have lunch, I'll share a similar crazy coincidence.
Please, I'm not the only one.
You're not the only one, and it has a Wisconsin tie to it too, which is fascinating to me. Lake Geneva, Wisconsin tie. Okay, this time has gone by so fast, and I love the comment. If you could put that comment back up, that don't forget, we are powerful beings. I think he was talking about the film Dreamcatcher. Here we go. Stephen King's movie Dreamcatcher. In the alien-induced state, and I broke out of it only once. We're powerful too. Don't doubt it. Yeah. So I know you've probably tried to fight, but when you're paralyzed and you're laying there and you can't speak and you can't move and you can't fight and you're helpless, that's a hard thing. But maybe just have you been able to set those boundaries? Like, okay, here's I know
what
I'm your
happens typically is I'll be watching YouTube or TV or sitting on my phone or out with a horse, and I get this high-pitched tone in my right ear. It's only the right ear. It lasts about 2 or 3 seconds. Oh, she's got that smile on her face. Look at that. Another commonality, perhaps?
all the time.
Yeah. So it happens, and then I ignore it. And then if I'm laying in bed at 11:30 at night, it hits again. And then this vibration comes over my head, through my body, and I'm gone. I'm back on the craft. And that's how it's happened the last 1, 2, 3, 4, oh my God, 5 years now. That's how it's been happening. The only time I was ever taken up in a beam was in Diamond Bar. That was the only time. So that's the other part of this, is they're vibrating somewhere, like somebody said, frequency. And I think that has a lot to do with it. So they've got you've got your implant, whatever, they've got your frequency, and they can just get you whenever
Have you ever seen other abductees on board a ship, or has it always just been you?
I have heard other abductees crying out in 1 or 2 of the rooms, walking around, especially on the mothercraft. Yeah. And in the instance where I was taken to the nursery, before I was taken to that nursery, I was in a white room, really big white room. There were all kinds of medical tables. I didn't see any military personnel, so if anybody asked, I did not see any. But there were several of us lying on these tables. I mean, I couldn't touch anybody. They were maybe 10 feet away or so. And you're laying there strapped to a table. I don't know what they did to me, not a clue. And then I got sent to another room. And then this room, this was before I got to see the hybrid baby. This room, they had a device put on my chest. It was metal. It had a little bit of lights going on it, and some little computerized like beeping sound, really light, but it was heavy. I felt it heavy on my chest, and I was just coming out of whatever they drugged me or whatever. And it moves over my chest, it goes over my arm, and it hits me. And I have the picture. It's not in the book, but I do have the picture. I'll probably post it on Facebook sometime, where it's got 5 circular dots. So it's like 5 needle points in my upper right arm right here. So it went across and it popped it right there. So like an inoculation with 5 needles or 5 shots, whatever you want to call it, all at one time. So that didn't feel good. And then I got sent to that's where I got sent to the nursery and was able to hold the hybrid child.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Kay, you are so brave, and I can't thank you enough for sharing this with the world. I mean, it's hard to hear, and we can feel your emotion, and it takes a lot of bravery and courage. I don't even talk about my stuff, and I've been out here doing this for a long time, and I still hold back because it's hard to get judged like that. It really is. And but I mean, there's just so many things that just line up with. It's amazing to me, and I hope, guys, please check out Kay's books. Into the Gray's Abyss, Kay's first book, her second book, volume 2, and also you can find out where to get your books. I'm sure they're available Barnes and Noble, Amazon, other places. I know Kay's run into the same problem I have with the Snippy book, with the one cover for volume 2. Graphic, so Amazon pulled it, but you can get it from her website. Check out her website here, krosegolden.org. She did a great job putting that website together. I have to have you back on because we didn't even get to the cattle mutilations. And
I know.
To that, and just so many other questions I have for you. I was running a list through my head as we were talking. So I hope that you'll come back in the new year. And so we can continue this discussion. What do you have going on, or what are you up to now with our last minute left?
No, Thanksgiving's tomorrow, and then just working with Dreamy, our mare, and hopefully I will get another horse here shortly.
I hope so too.
I kind of miss losing him was horrible. I mean, it just,
Oh, so
it was
sorry.
horrible. I may actually write a book about my horses at some point. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, you should. You should absolutely do that. And again, thank you for being here. I hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving.
You
Everybody out
too.
there have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And next week on the Trifecta, we are having none other than good friend Michael Schratt, and he will be talking to us about crash retrievals. And Michael Schratt has great illustrations. So I hope you're with us next Wednesday night here on the Trifecta. Until next time, everybody, have a great rest of your week. And thank you, Kay, for being here. Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you.